Good morning, traders. TGIF. It's Friday, July 29th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, what are we looking at here this morning? We are looking at a bullish market. I am feeling bullish right from the start, and I'm going to tell you why. For one thing, we broke out of a balance down here, and since then we have consistently had overlapping to higher value. Yesterday's value area was overlapping to higher. Okay, so that to me is bullish. The overnight had all the reason in the world last night to pull back down with the thin volume and the single prints that we left behind yesterday. It easily could have pulled the overnight down to do some business down here, and we would have opened inside yesterday's range. But what happened instead? The overnight pushed its way up, spent most of its time and brought in most of its volume at higher prices. And we are now opening with a gap up, which is bullish. So first order of business for the day today will be filling the gap. Does the market, once it opens, trade back down to yesterday's high around 40.81? If it does it find support there? Does it pull down and find support and turn around and start heading back up? If it does, that is called a gap and go. That is the most bullish signal we can get. So we definitely want to get long for continuation to the upside. Also, if it fails to get to yesterday's high, if it tries to push down and it can't quite get to yesterday's high and turns around and starts heading up, that is also a gap and go, which is very, very bullish. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm focused on. If we get a gap and go, I'm pretty prepared for this market to pump to the upside. And I will tell you why. Because we just re-entered a previous balance area. Now, the trick to balance areas, this is an area where the market traded up and down through this range over and over and over again when we were in here a couple months ago. Now, there's going to be a lot of resistance in here. So it's not like the market can go from one end of balance to the other in a straight line. It will take some grinding to get through there. But re-entering a previous balance tells me on a longer term basis, over the next day or two, as long as we stay in this balance, we are likely heading to the opposite end. So that is bullish as well. And then, of course, we left a million weak references behind when we broke to the downside. So those are all in need of repair. And so if we get a gap and go today, those will be the targets, one after another to the upside. Can we repair? So if we don't get a gap and go, if we pull back down into yesterday's range, I'll be looking for support right around 40.72. And if that breaks, monitoring for continuation lower. So I'll look to repair the weak reference at 40.69. See, does that bring in buyers? If not, to test the base of the single prints at 40.65. Does that bring in buyers? If not, 40.59, and so on and so forth. Okay? Do we get a gap fill? Stay tuned. Find out now. Good morning, Arthur, the Shah, Brian, MW, Mac Vins, Luca, Nap MP, Jules, ES Flema, Chillin' with Dylan, Jeremy, John, Eldora, Caffeine, Amity, Pavel T. Bay, Fighter Pilot, Damn Jam, Elliot, Element, Jay, Philip, Cyrus, Scooball, David, Mateus, and Lucas, and Justin, and Ennis, and Rockingham. Welcome, 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 welcome. Happy to have you. All right, so one trade for a gap fill is to go short. If the market opens and initially pushes in the direction of the gap, as it comes back down through the opening price, you can go short there with your stop above the high it created, targeting the filling of the gap. Looking for support around 40.80. A 149 people hanging out, only 52 likes. Let's see if we can pump that thumbs up button. Pump the like for a gap fill. That's a thing. That's definitely a thing. If you're in that short from the opening price, you can go ahead and move the stop below your entry. We should be able to fill that gap without passing back through the open again. NQ filled. All right, so NQ filled its gap. Do we get support here at yesterday's high? All right, there's the gap fill on the ES. Or I guess it has one more tick. One more tick. We're gonna fill the gap, fill it up with a tick. This sounds perverted, but it's not supposed to. Don, who is your data feed? What is it called? IQ. All right, now the gap's filled. So do we get support? Do the buyers step in here, keeping this momentum going? Good taper on the low. SS Cryptocurrent says, thank you for the serenade. Oh, there'll be more where that came from. Just you wait. Cryptocurrent. All right, well, if we pass back through the opening price, I will get bullish, as that will make this a gap and go. I'll be looking for us to stay above yesterday's high to stay bullish. It feels like we may not be ready yet, though. It doesn't feel like we're ready to launch. We may need to pull back one more time. All right, I am bullish as long as we stay above yesterday's high. Gap and go. It's bullish, don't you know? So first target to the upside is repairing the weak reference left behind at 40.96. Should be some resistance just above there from this area where the overnight spent all this time and did all this trade. So we'll look for a repair and a pullback down into support. Dude, a gap fill and a gap and go trade with a beautiful, easily achieved target. Man, the market is being nice to us this morning. Weak eye period repaired. It's like, Charles, just this once, we're going to make it easy. 2 trades in a row. All right, so we're pushing into some resistance, looking for support when we pull back down between, say, 40.90 and 40.88. Scooball says short-term bull market, and Element says we've been bullish since June 14th. Scoob? Scoob? Scooball, do you find this to be an acceptable nickname? Are you all right with being scoobed? Yeah, I mean, we are kind of in a bull market in terms of the fact that the momentum is to the upside. You know, zooming out here and looking at the daily, we make note of the fact that we're heading towards a balance area high. So if there was ever somewhere for the market to run out of steam, that would be a great place for it to get smacked back down and then have to, you know, come back looking for support. And then we've also still got some resistance above from a downtrend from the daily. But yeah, I mean, this could be the beginning. Gonna have to wait and see how it plays out. We are leaving a lot of weakness behind on the way up. All this red is an unusual amount. I mean, you always leave some weakness behind, but this is a lot of weakness. So I could very easily see the market working its way up to the other end of balance and then kind of having a crash and burn. But I don't have a crystal ball. Can't predict that far in the future. I can tell you right now, the buyers are in control of the market. The next target, testing the overnight high at 40.11. If we can get above that overnight high and find support, the next target becomes the poor high at 40.18 in need of repair. Did I say 40.11? You guys know what I mean. No resistance till 40.11. To the moon. All right. Well, we didn't pull back for support. We brought in buyers at a higher price. That is bullish and often a sign of the beginning of a trend. If you build up volume, push higher, build up volume, push higher, build up volume, push higher. So we're looking, can they test that overnight high at 41.11? If so, can they make some volume up there, get some support up at a higher price for continuation? Michael, does the gap need to be filled or not filled to be considered a gap and go? Or is a gap and go any attempt to fill a gap that reverses the other way, regardless of if the gap is filled or not? The answer is yes. It's both. If the market tries to fill the gap, if it opens and it tries to push lower and it can't fill the gap and it turns around, that is a gap and go. Or if it pushes down and fills the gap, finds support around the previous day's high, and then turns around, that is also a gap and go. They're both the same thing. I don't think one is any more potent than the other. They're both just a sign that there is new momentum in the market, right? The momentum is still going right from the start, which is bullish. It's worth noting we're getting taper exactly where the overnight did. So you can see we're running out of steam here. We're running out of business right in the same spot they did in the overnight. So that just increases the odds we need to pull back into support. bring in some more buyers to poke through there. But it will also be even more bullish if we can get above that overnight high and then bring in support up there, because then we know those are new buyers. Jeremy, NQ to 13K. It's not impossible, but you've got a lot of resistance to get through before you get up there. NQ not quite as bullish as the ES. You've got a long way to go to get to your overnight high. But yeah, for sure. If you get up there and you find support, 1300 is well within reach. Or sorry, 13,000. You've also got some very thin volume here in need of backfilling. They might need to dip down to halfback to bring in the buyers to get through this. And Q's got some work to do. Cyrus and Scott, just so you guys know, my market profile only goes to the close, to 4 p.m. If you have your settings to 5 p.m., then you would have included this A and B period. And you would have seen today as opening inside the previous day's range. So you would have been looking for chop. You would not have known to target the high on the way down. And you would have not known to see the gap and go momentum on the way up. So I tend to use the close as the close. I find it's the most reliable signal. When does the overnight start? Right when the regular trading hours closes. I basically just take, the profile for the day is just from market open to market close, and everything else is inside the overnight range. Okay, we just created a poor high. Often when we create up, never mind, repaired it. All right, so there's the test of the overnight high. So now we're looking to see, can we get above 41.11, come back down and find some support? If so, the next target to the upside is 40.18, where we have a poor high in need of repair. It's also, we're getting right back into the middle of that previous balance area where there's going to be a lot of resistance in this giant node. So I do expect us to run out of steam there and have to grind our way through, just like the NQ has in its overnight. But step one to getting there is getting above 41.11 and finding support. Element, or we're just going absolute rocket ship right now? No, not rocket ship. We're pushing into resistance. The jet fuel will run out very soon. Probably right about the minute they turn off that magnet that is the poor high. Melanie just bought the course and the membership. Awesome. Well, welcome to the family. We're happy to have you. You're one of the cool kids now. It's a lot of responsibility. You got to live up to it. This is a great weekend for taking the e-course. Getting caught up on how to read the two-way auction before we get into next week. Just dropped a link in the chat if anybody wants to check out that e-course this weekend, so they can learn what the heck is a gap and go and why does it create momentum. Charles, how on earth did you expect this? You said this before the market even opened. How did you know? Well, I understand how the two-way auction works, and you can too. Alex, the question is, where do you make your entry? Well, I literally told you this morning. So I literally said, get short at the open on the way down with your stop above the current high. Move your stop below your entry. And then boom, the gap filled, take profit. And then I said, as we were down at yesterday's high, I said, if we push back up through the opening price, again, that is bullish for a gap and go. We then pushed back through the opening price again. And I said the target is the weak reference above. Then I said the target was the overnight high. And then I said the target was the poor high. The market has given you all the signals you need to get long, brother. Gap and go. Value is higher. Ticks are on our side. Alex says, it's great that you gave us entries. I'd like to learn how to make those decisions myself, though. I would like for you to learn that, too. That's why I worked my buttocks off making that e-course, making sure all the information you would need is in there. All right, testing the support. Can the overnight high hold? Scott, so I front ran my profit and got filled on that nice push towards the poor high. Good call. Now I'm just sitting back. Or is re-entry? Oh, re-entry, dude. Yeah, re-enter. When you see support, the market is bullish. When you see support, you can buy it. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of grind and a lot of chop to get up there. I mean, to get through there because there's so much previous support resistance in here. So we may have to pull back down towards halfback to bring in the buyers, but they definitely have the momentum. There's no question. So it seems very unlikely we're going to leave this high is now weak as two. So we got a poor high and a weak high. I really doubt we're leaving those behind. It just might take some work to get through it. John Lash said, had a profitable day. Got his target. Going to get out early and enjoy the weekend. I think that's a great idea. We'll see you here on Monday. Pablo, maybe if we keep the overnight high and wait for C to break the initial balance, then buy support until the uptrend is broken. Yeah, it's a great idea. Wait for the confirmation of the trend and then look to buy. Okay, overnight high. Support is broken there. So now we're looking to pull back into this node around 4104. Looking for the buyers there. And then as we push back up into this node now that's around the overnight high, we want to make sure that doesn't become resistance. We want to make sure the ticks don't start getting slapped down every time we push up into there. So looking for support at 4104 and then to get through that node. All right, well, now that we're through that node, we should be able to repair that poor high, and then that node should act as support here at the overnight high for continuation. I was worried. It looked for a second there like the ticks were about to get smacked down. But the buyers stepped in and defended, as they do when they're feeling bullish. Cyrus, yeah, I take your point, and I'm certainly not telling you to change it. If you like using 5 p.m., do it. I was just pointing out the reason why I use 4 p.m. Almost always, when it comes to gap and goes, 4 p.m. is the target. That's where it finds support, whatever the high was at 4 p.m. Not 4:15, not 5. And I experimented both ways. I just found it to be more reliable. But if 5 p.m. is working for you, keep doing it. There is more than one way to skin this cat. All right, there's the repair of that poor high from a couple months ago. We just repaired. So the next, clear target to the upside is going to be this node right here around 41.27. Looking for resistance there. And then not much until we get up to 41.31. The buyers are in control of this market. They have the momentum. So we're pushing into that resistance right now. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, buyers loving it. um, Element, how much do I protect profits versus riding the momentum? There's nothing wrong if you have more than one contract. There's nothing wrong with taking partial profits and holding a runner. All right, with the printing of the C period, we've left behind a set of single prints in the B period. That increases the odds the market might need to pull back and backfill those single prints. We will, of course, be looking for support there for continuation to the upside. If they can get that C period high above the B period high by 2 TPOs, which is a point, then the market is trending higher, which is bullish. And at that point, we just remain focused on the lows. Does the C period low stay above the B period? Does the D stay above the C, and so on and so forth? And whenever one of the TPOs gets below the previous 30 minutes, that's when you know the momentum is over and the market's likely to go sideways. So here we go, fill in some single prints, looking for some support, and then hoping to get this market trending higher. Thank you all so very much for watching. It's been quite a week, and I'm so appreciative that you've been hanging out with me. I hope you'll be back next week. I will be here on Monday morning. If you're a member of the brigade, let's do it. Do it, do it, do it. Do it now. Do it good. Trade that momentum just like you should. Buy support. Sell resistance. My support and my resistance. Okay, I'll stop now. Bye-bye.